In this video, Spring Boot and React full stack development, we will build WebSocket real-time chat application. Whether you are a beginner or an expert looking to improve your skill, this tutorial is for you. So in this course, you will build full stack chat application with Spring Boot and React using WebSocket. So what is WebSocket? WebSocket is a duplex protocol used mainly in the client-server communication channel. It is bidirectional in nature, which means communication happens to and fro between client and server. WebSocket enables the server to send data to the client as soon as it becomes available without waiting for the client to request it. WebSocket needs support from the HTTP to initiate the connection. So this diagram represents the communication between the client and the server. So WebSocket needs the HTTP support to initiate the connection. WebSocket starts with standard HTTP request to establish the connection, which you can see we have the first request here using the HTTP. So which is then upgraded to a WebSocket protocol. Okay, then the connection is open. Maintaining the connection open for continuous data exchange. You can see bidirectional messages open and persistent. So it remains open and the client and server will have the communication in real time. Okay, so the connection remain open unless either of the sides, whether the client or the server, closes the connection. Okay, so WebSocket versus REST API, here is a key point. So WebSocket, we first have the request, then upgraded to the using the HTTP, then upgraded to a WebSocket. Then from now the connection is open. And in case of the REST API, once we have the request and the response, then the connection is terminated. Okay, that is the key difference between the WebSocket versus the REST API. Looking at the WebSocket now, let's look at Spring Boot and React. Spring Boot is a powerful and popular framework for building Java applications. It facilitates the development process by providing a set of standard and default, which allows developers to quickly create production-ready applications. So this is the Spring Boot. And ReactJs. ReactJs is a powerful JavaScript library used by developers to create user interface for web application. It was first created by Facebook in 2011 to improve the performance and has since been widely adopted by developers around the world. So what you will learn in this tutorial: you will build your first full stack web application with awesome UI using React and Spring Boot. You will introduce the basics of React, which include component, JSX, state, and props. You will learn how to effectively use React Router with functional components. You will learn how to connect your React frontend and Spring Boot backend. You will introduce to basics of Redux, which include reducers, action, and store. You will learn how to develop Spring Web MVC application with Spring Boot. You will learn how to build your first chat application with Spring Boot and React. So here is the application architecture. We have backend app and a front-end app. The backend app serves raw data, and the front-end app gets backend data, process it, and instruct the browser what to display. So this is called front-end backend separation. We have the front-end as a separate app, and we also have the backend as a separate app. Okay, so here is the Spring Boot React full stack application architecture. You can see here is the front end where we use Redux and React. and you can see we use the sub.js and storm.js client to communicate with our backend, so that we will have a full communication between the backend app and the front end app. So you will later learn, we will give the quick overview on the Redux. You will learn about the action reducer and stuff. Okay, so this is the Spring Boot React full stack application architecture. We have here in the backend Spring WebSocket controller, then WebSocket config. So let's do this. You can see, let's go further. Tools and technologies used in front end. You can see we have front end. We use VS Code IDE, React, Redux, Sub.js and Storm.js client, NPM and Node.js. So we also have tools and technologies used in backend, where we have Spring Tool Suite STS, Maven Apache, Spring Boot, and WebSocket. Okay, so prerequisite: basic knowledge of JavaScript. The prerequisite: basic knowledge of HTML, CSS, basic knowledge of React, then basic knowledge of Java, then Node.js and NPM install. So this is the prerequisite. This is the demo of our application. Let me join the chat with the username Aliyu Sahabo Adam. So you can see I joined the chat now. So let me have a message like hi. So Aliyu Sahabo sent a message hi. Let me add another user, localhost. So here it is. Let me say like Muhammad Ayub. So and I will say like hi Aliyu. You can see I sent this chat. So when I come to this, you can see we have Muhammad Ayub joined, Aliyu Sahabo Adam also joined, and here is the message for the Muhammad Ayub that now join. Okay, so when he leave the chat, we can have the information that he leave. As you can see, each message have a time for sending: 5:21 p.m. That is because it sent at the same time. So now when I leave this chat for the Muhammad Ayub, immediately we will have the message that Muhammad Ayub left. So this is a demo of the application that we will build together. So let's do this together. Create new Spring Boot project for our chat application. Here in the STS, let's go to create project. You will see Spring Starter project. Click on next. Then it will connect us to the start.spring.io. So the name of the project will be chat application. Okay, so this is the name of the project, and we will change this description to chat application tutorial using WebSocket. Okay, then the type is Maven Java version 17, packaging the language is Java. So I will leave this as coding techniques, the group, and the package name, that is the name of this channel. So let's click next and add the dependency. So we need the Spring Boot Dev Tool. Let's click on the Spring Boot Dev Tool, then Spring Web, then let's look at the WebSocket. Here it is. Then click here is the three dependency we will be using. Okay, adding the dependency, you will see that Spring Boot version is 3.3.3. okay, then let's click finish. So it is building. The next thing we will do is we will create a model class for our chat application. Here is our project. is ready. Here is our starter class chat application. Now we will create a model class which we will create a representation of message using plain old Java object. Let's create new package for this, and we'll call this model. So inside this we'll create a new class called message, and we will also create new enum. Let's create new enum, and we'll call this status, which we will use as a field inside our message class. Okay, so we'll have two, which is first one is join and the second one is left. Okay, so inside the message, let's start defining the field. We need a private string user, so we also need a private string content. Then we also need a private string time, because for each message we need a time. We need to know the time for which the message is sent. And the last one is private string, that is status. Private string status. Okay, so this is what we have so far, and let's generate a default constructor for this, a constructor with no parameter. Deselect all, so let's have it, and we generate getters and setters for this field. Generate getters and setters for all the field. Okay, so this is what we have so far. We create a model class. So let's create a controller class. We first need a package controller, and inside this we'll create new class. We call it chat controller. Okay, so we will add the controller annotation for this class. All the storm messages can be routed to the controller class. So we need two actions here. The first one is add message, and the second one is add status. So let's start with the public message.add message. Then we need add payload message, then we'll return the message. Okay, so now we need add message mapping for the path sent message. So when message is sent, the add message mapping will call this action, and the value that will be returned, it will be broadcast to all the subscribers. So let's have the add sent to, that is where to send the message, that is the value that it will be returned. So we will have topic messages. So when the message is sent, the add message mapping will call this action, and the value that will be returned, it will broadcast all to the subscribers for the messages, the topic. So now the next thing, we will also need the add status, which we will know if the user is around or when he left. So let's add the public message add status, then we also need the add payload message, then this will return message as well. So on the add message mapping, the path for this will be send status, and we will also need a subscribers for the messages, that is sent to topic messages. Okay, so this is what we have so far, and for this we will add another functionality which we will need a simp message header accessor. Here it is, header accessor. Let name it just header accessor, which we will add the user to the session. So header accessor dot will add the username of the user that sent the message to the session. Let use get session attribute, then put here we have string key and the object value. So let's add this. So let name this user, and let get the user using the message dot get user. So this is what we'll have here so far, and the next thing we need to define the time. We need to know the time for which a message is sent in case of adding message. But for the add status, we don't care about the message. We just need to know if the user is around or if the user is left. Okay, so for now we will create a new package where we will define the message time. So we need a new package and call this util. So inside this we'll create a new class and call it message time. Okay, here it is, and let's have a public static. We need to access it directly, so public static, and call this string get time. Okay, so let's define a local time and call it current time equal to local time dot now. We need to know the time for which the user sent the message, and we also need a date time formatter. That is, here it is, date time formatter. We call this time formatter equal to, we also need date time formatter. Again, we'll access, we give it the pattern for which we will have AM, PM, and we will have it in hour and minute. So we have of pattern. So let's have a pattern like this: HH for the hour and MM for the minute, then space A for either PM or AM. Okay, so the next thing we need is string formatted time. Let's call this formatted time, so equal to current time dot format. Let's format this time formatter. So, and the next thing we will return is formatted time. Okay, so now we finish the implementation for the current time. Okay, So let's save the changes and go back to the chat controller. Okay, so here inside the chat controller, before the message is broadcast, we need to add the time. So we need to have the message dot set time. Okay, then we use the message time. Here it is, dot get time. So this is the implementation for our controller and the util so far. And the next thing is the most important thing, which is adding the configuration for the WebSocket. Okay, let's create our configuration class for the WebSocket. Let's create a new package and call this config. So inside this we will create a new class and call it WebSocket config. Okay, so we will annotate this class with @configuration and also @enable WebSocket message broker. Okay, and we will implement a WebSocket message broker configurer where we will override some default methods. So let's start with the @override, and the first thing is public void register stamp endpoint, so which we will use to register the endpoint for the handshake. So we need a stamp endpoint registry. Here it is. Let's name it registry. So we will use the registry dot add endpoint. So I will just name the endpoint as WebSocket, which we will use for the handshake. So we will be using React in the front end, and the React will start on the port 3000. So we need to allow origin, set allow origin. So this will be http / localhost then 3000. Okay, with sock.js. That is all. And the next thing, we also need a configure message broker. So we need to override the method override public void configure, then configure message broker. Okay, so for this case it will be message broker registry. Here it is, then followed by registry. Okay, so we'll register the prefix for which the message that is bound to @message mapping will be handled. Okay, so let's have registry that we need a set application destination prefix which start with the app. Okay, so and let also use the registry for we enable the simple broker. By this it will be broadcast to the topic, the all topic that we may have or that we have. So this is the configuration for the WebSocket. Okay, now The next thing, we will create our React application, which we will use to talk to the backend. In this section, we will create a new React app, and I will be using the Visual Studio Code as the IDE in the front end. You can have another choice of the IDE in the front end, but we will be using in this tutorial Visual Studio Code. Okay, so you can go to the code.visualstudio.com to download the Visual Studio Code, and you also need to install Node.js. So you can go to nodejs.org to download the Node.js on your computer. Okay, so we also need to have a tool to create new React app. So let's create another tab and look for create new React app. Okay, so it will take you to this. You will find this create new React app that is in the legacy.react.js.org. So click on the create a new React app. So we will easily find the tool to create new React app. So we will use this to create new React app, and followed by the name of the app that we want to create. This will be the name of the app that we'll want to create. Here you can see the change it. All we need to do is to copy this npx create React app. So copy this, then go to the Visual Studio Code. Here you can see we need to have a folder. You can have a folder for the project. You can use your project folder. So go to the open folder. So in the desktop, I have the folder that I will use. Then select on the folder. So once the folder selected, then here you can find the terminal. Click on new terminal. So it will give us the directory for this, that is the new folder. Okay, here it is, you can see. So all we need to do is paste what we just copied. Okay, and the name for this is chat app. That is the name of the application that I will use. Then click on enter. It will take a little time for this to create. Okay, so you can see it start the installation of packages. You can see this might take a couple of minutes. Okay, so let's wait a little for create to finish creating. Our React app is created successfully. Now all we need to do is to start the application. You can see it here inside the folder that we selected earlier. We have chat app. That is the folder for the React app that we created. So and you can see we have the first, we all need to go to the directory of the new folder that we have for the project chat app. Then we use the npm start to start our application. Okay, so now let's do this. First you see the chat app, then we use the npm start to start our new React app. So this will take a couple of minutes. Our React app started successfully and it is running on port 3000. Here it is. You can see it is running on port 3000. Okay, so let's make a quick observation of our new React app. So here you can see we have the folder which contains our created React app. So when you open, you can see we have those folders and it includes the files as well. So let's first observe this file. We have the package.json, which includes the script and dependency for our application. So you can see here React DOM, and all these script and dependency. We also have the README, which includes the project documentation. Okay, when you enter, you can see all the information about the project, how to start the project, and all the necessary information about the project. Okay, So here are the two important folders. We have the public folder, which include the static file. Inside this we have the index.html. The index.html is the main HTML template where the React app is injected. So when we click on this, you can see we have this inside the root. Okay, so and inside the source we have the app.js. Okay, you can see the code that is written here. This is the code that is written. You can see it is running here. Okay, it is inside the app.js. Okay, the app.js is the main component of the app, or the root component, where we have the index.js, and that's the root component. You can see we have the app here, which is inside our app.js, which is the app component. So we also have the app.css, which is the CSS file. We also have the index.css. The index.css is a global CSS file for our application. So this is the quick overview of our React project, and the next thing we will do, we will set up the connection for the WebSocket and provide it across the component that we will create. In this section, we will set up our WebSocket connection with Storm and Sub.js client. We will also provide the connection across all the components to maintain a single connection, and all the components will have access to a single connection, the properties and method for the connection. So we need a Sub.js client dependency and also Storm.js dependency. We need to install and have this. So to install, let's go to the new terminal. In the new terminal, we will install this. So let's go to the cd chat app, the directory of our project. Okay, then we need the npm install. Okay, so first of all we need a Sub.js client, then followed by @storm. We need @storm /storm.js. So this is the dependency that we need to install. Click on enter. This will take a couple of seconds to install. The installation is complete and you will find the dependency inside the package.json. Okay, inside the package.json you can see we have the @storm/storm.js. We also have the Sub.js client. Now we will provide a folder which we will use for the communication inside the source. Let's create new folder and call this prosy. Okay, so inside this folder let's create a new file and call this storm.js. Okay, so let's import what we just installed. Okay, we will first start with the Sub.js. This provides us with a full duplex communication channel between the web and the server, between the web browser and the server. Okay, and we also need to import, let's import a client from, and this will be from the @storm. Here it is. Okay, this allows us to communicate to the Storm broker over a WebSocket connection. Okay, now let's provide a class which we will define a basic configuration. Let's call this storm client, and this will extend client. By extending client, we will override some method that the client class have, which allow us to perform some operation for the connection. Okay, so here it is, and we will export this, export default storm client. Here it is. Okay, so let's start defining the basic configuration. The first thing is that we need to define the WebSocket URL, which we will use for the handshake. Okay, so let's call this WebSocket URL. If you can remember in the configuration, let's go to the configuration. You can see here is what we define as the endpoint, that is WebSocket. Okay, let's go back to this and define. We said that is equal to http slash then localhost 8080 then followed by the WebSocket, the same thing as the name that we have here, WebSocket. Okay, so let's copy and paste to confirm so that we won't have the spelling error. Okay, now that we define the URL for the handshake, and the next thing, let's define the sub.js. We will pass this to the constructor of the sub.js. Let's call this socket equal to new sock.js. So here we will pass this URL. The sub.js provide us with a full duplex communication channel between the web browser and the web server. It also provides a lot of functionalities. Okay, so we will override some of the method from the client. The first thing we will do, we have to define the reconnect delay phase. Reconnect delay, that is if it disconnect, it will connect automatically within the 5 seconds. Okay, we define this in millis, and we also need a WebSocket factory. This initialize the connection. Okay, so and we set this to this dot, that is the socket that we just defined. Okay, and let's also override the debug. We have a debug. Okay, we will have the information about the app in the console when the app is running. Okay, and let console.log. Okay, so we'll have all the necessary information about our app. Okay, so the next thing, we also need to override another method, and this is on storm error. That is, if we have error on storm error, as you are typing, you will see that we have all this because it is from the client that we extend. On storm error equal to, we also need to, let's call this frame. So we'll console.log, that is the error, console.error. Okay, so here we will have a message like broker reported error. Okay, so plus, let's concatenate with the frame. Okay, so that is all that we need to do here inside the proxy and inside this file storm.js. Here we define the basic configuration. First, we have the WebSocket base URL for the handshake. We pass this to the sub.js, and then we define the reconnect delay. We also, this is what initialize our connection, the WebSocket factory. We also have debug so that we can know the information as the application is running. Then we also have this on error. This is the basic configuration, and the next thing we will do is we'll provide the connection over all the component that we will define in the future, that is next. So we will call this storm provider so that each component may be able to access, will be able to access the method for the connection at the time of the running. So let's create a new file again and call it storm provider. Okay, storm provider.js. Okay, so first we'll define a function. So we'll have export function, and we call this storm provider. Okay, so we'll pass the children here. Children. Okay, so that is, we will have other component used the method inside this. Okay, we need a use effect so that when the component mount, their connection happen immediately. So let's import it from React. We need the use effect. Okay, and from React, here it is. Okay, so let's close this, and then we'll start with the use effect. Okay, so the first thing, let's have the arrow function, and then have the array like this, array of dependency. Okay, and we'll define the functionality inside this. We need a comma here. So first we need to import the class for the connection. Let's import this. It is, let's see, we have storm client here, so we need to import storm client from storm, that is this folder. Okay, and we'll use this here. So let's have the initialization here. We'll have client equal to new storm client. Okay, that is all. And then there is a method which we can use, which is like equivalent to open. It called activate. Here it is, activate. Okay, so we activate the connection, and it is a method. We need this bracket. So, and when the component is unmounted, we need this connection to be cancelled. Okay, that is, we need to disconnect. So what we will do here, we need to write a return statement like this with an arrow function, and when the component unmounted, then we disconnect. Okay, and we call this deactivate. Okay, so it is a method from the client class. Okay, so that is what we have so far, and the next thing we need is to define a publish message function. Okay, so let's have a function called publish message. Okay, so, and this will have destination and the message. Destination, that is where the message will go, and then the message itself, that is what the method will have. Okay, so, and you can see we have a block of code here, and we cannot able to access the connection from here, and we need to check if the connection is open before we publish the message, that is if it is connected. So what we need here is that we need to import a use ref. Okay, so let's have a use ref. It is also from React. We just need to add a comma here, and then have a use ref. Okay, and we need to define it here. So we'll have const, and let's call this client ref equal to use ref. For the initialization, now it is null. Let's set it to null. Okay, how we can use this, you can see. So let's go inside the use effect. So we will have the client ref that we just defined dot current, and we set this to client, that is our connection object. Okay, so now we will be able to access it inside this. So let's define const client
So we will name this client and then equal to, we have client ref dot current. So now we will be able to check if the connection is available before we publish the message. Okay, now we share the connection across these two block of code. So we will have a if statement, if client, that is if client, and we will going to check if client dot connected, if it is connected, dot connected. Okay, so then let's have the logic here. First we will console.log, let's have a console.log there, so that we can see in the console sending message. Okay, and what the message is will concatenate with the message that we will pass to this function. Okay, and then next thing we'll use the client, we'll have a method publish. Okay, so and let's have what we will publish here. So the first thing we will define is the destination equal to the destination that we have here, comma, so sorry, we'll have comma here followed by the message. Let's call this body, so the body is message. Okay, like this, but we'll pass it inside the json.stringify, then what will have the message here. Okay, so that is what we all need here. And in case of having error, that is it is not connected, so we'll define else from here, else, let's have, we'll print console.error that it is not connected, console.error, and we will say that it is not connection, a message, storm client is not connected, storm client is not connected. Okay, so here we finish defining the message. So that is the message we will use across different components that will send a message to our server. Okay, so and you can see here we initialize the connection using our class storm client, which extends the client. Okay, you can see we call it here. When the component mount, we will have the connection immediately. So and when it is mount, we will have to deactivate. Okay, so and the next thing we will do is we will return, let's return the, so what we will use to share this across different components, what we will use to share this across different component is that we will use the create context and use context. So let's import this, import, and we need create context as well as use context. Okay, and we will have a message context, we will call it a message context, and let's define this above this function. I'll have const message context equal to create context. So and the use context, we will use it here, we'll export it so that we can use in another class. We'll use the export and call use, we call this use message context. It is more meaningful when we set use message context. Okay, and we will have an arrow function, so we will have use context, which context is that message context that we just defined. So we need to pass it here, message context. Okay, so now let's add the functionality for the message context. We are exporting it here, you can see, so that we can use it using the use message context. Okay, so let's go to the return. So we will define the value that we will export. Okay, here it is. Now we will have message context dot provider. Okay, we will define the value that we want to provide to other component. So, and we will call this publish message because it is publish message that we want. Okay, and let's close this. You can see we have this. So, and within this we will have the children. Okay, so this is what we finish. So we finish with the storm provider. Okay, let me have a quick overview. Here we define a use effect, and we also create a publish message which some of the component that we will define will use to send message to the backend. And here we are exporting it. We have a message context which we will use to export it, and we will access this using the use message context, and we will wrap all the component, that is children component, around the storm provider that we define. Okay, so the next thing we will do is we will have the Redux implementation.
So let's look at a quick overview of Redux. Redux is a state management library for JavaScript application often used with React. It helps to manage the application state in a predictable way. Store, the central repository that holds the entire state of the application. The only way to change the state inside it is to dispatch an action. An action is the object, or is an object that describes a change or an event in the application. It must have a type, property, and can have additional data. So we have a reducer, which is a pure function that takes the current state, and an action then returns a new state. It's used to specify how the state changes in response to actions. A dev tool is a set of tools that help developers debug Redux applications, such as Redux DevTool extension, which allow tracking state changes and action in real time. In this section of this tutorial, we will use Redux to manage the state of our application. So we discussed Redux in the beginning of this tutorial, and in this section we will use the Redux in action. Okay, first we need to install all the necessary tools which we will use to manage the state of our application using Redux. So I will open a new terminal here. Okay, so once the terminal is open, we will go to the directory. So cd, the directory is chat app. Okay, so now we need to install, first we need to install React Redux. We will start with the npm install, then React Redux, followed by Redux, followed by, we need to add the spaces, that is to differentiate what we are installing, then followed by, we have at Redux, followed by JS, Redux.js /tool kit. Okay, then we need additional space. Okay, then the last thing we need is that we need at Redux DevTool extension. So it started with at the same time Redux DevTool, then /extension. Okay, so these are all the necessary tools which we will use to manage the state of our application. Okay, now press enter. So it will start installing all these. We have 4 of them. First React Redux,
then Redux, then at Redux.js toolkit, then followed DevTool extension. Our installation is ready. What we will do next is we will create a new folder called Redux. Inside the source folder, we will have all the code for the Redux inside. So let's create new folder and call it Redux. Okay, so inside this we will have file. The first file is we will have initial state state.js. Well, this old initial state of the application. Let's have it const, call this initial state. So and call this messages. This will contain all the messages that we will have. It is an array. So then export default initial state. Okay, and the next thing we will do, we will also create another folder which we will define the type. So the action type, based on the action performed, we will have a reducer. Change the state of the application based on the action performed. So we need a action type which identify different action. Okay, so we will call these action types.js. Okay, and we'll have export cons. So we'll have add message, that is the first action type that we will have here, and call this add messages. Okay, so we'll define the action like this: coding techniques /status /add. Okay, that is for adding the message. This is the only action type we have. We will identify it using the add messages. Okay, the next thing is that we will create a reducer. So let's create a new file and call this reducer file. So reducer.js. Okay, so inside this reducer, let's define a function. So based on the action performed, this function will change our state, and if no action performed, then it will return just a normal state without changing it. So we'll have a function that is default function. We call this message reducer. Okay, and this will have parameter which is the initial state and action. So it need to have the initial state and the action. Okay, so we need to import the initial state. We'll have import initial state from the initial state here. Okay, and then we'll have to define state. Our state here equal to initial state, then followed by action. Okay, so based on the action performed, then our state will change. Okay, so we also need to import the action types which define or which explain different action based on the action performed. Inside the action types, we may have different actions separated by comma. So we added this in a URL type to identify different action. So this is for the add messages. And then let's go back to the reducer. We need to import this. Import. So the next thing, we will have a switch statement. So using the switch statement, we will use this action dot type, that is based on the type of the action. And for the default, let's have default here. We will just return the state without altering the state. Okay, like this. So we are returning state, but we need to add another case here. For case, if we have the action types, here we have action types that message type. Remember, we have this message type, and we need to access. We also have add messages. So that is if the message is added, we need to remove this and add this here. Okay. So once the message is added, we need to update our state. Okay. So we'll have to return a new state, and the messages like this. Okay, so first we need the previous state.messages. Then we add the payload, that is the new data that we have, action.payload. Okay, this is what we all need to do here. We are adding the messages based on the action performed. We will later create the action.js file. Okay, before then we need to import a combine reducer from the Redux, which we will use to combine. If we have so many files here, that is so many message reducer like this, so many reducers, we will add it into a one combine reducer function. So here we have only one and we need to add it. Okay, so let's have a combine reducers from Redux. Okay, so the combine reducers that we have here, let's define it below our message reducer. Okay, we need to have export const, let's call this root reducer equal to the combine reducers that we just have. So within this we need to add our reducer function, call these messages, and then have the message reducer. So that is which the root reducer, we will use it when defining the store. Okay, that is all we need to have here inside the reducer file. Okay, now we need to save this, and then the next thing we need to define is action. So we create new file. So we talk a lot about the action. Now we need to add the action. So and call this action.js. Okay, so first we need to define a function for adding message, and when it sends that the type is for adding message, then it will use the add message type. Okay, so remember inside the reducer file we are switching the action based on a type. Okay, and here we have a type add message. Okay, so let's define the action for the add message. As well, we need to import the action type. So let me just copy this. We'll use it as well inside the action.js. Okay, so now let's have the function for adding message function and call this add message. So it will have the parameter of message. Okay, so we'll return a type and the payload. The payload is a data, so the type is, we'll have action types dot message type add message, that is for the adding message. Okay, and then we'll also need the payload. The payload here will be message. Okay, and the next thing here we need to add again is we need to have a add message action. This is just the add message. We will use this add message inside the function that we will just define, which is the add message action. Okay, so let's have export function and differentiate this with add message action. We call this add message action. Okay, so it will have the parameter of client, the client which we use to communicate to the backend. Okay, so we need to have return this patch, so we need it is arrow function, so we will define anything within this patch. Okay, so using middleware, this helps to dispatch to our store. Okay, which we will define the store as well inside this Redux. Okay, so the next thing we will first check to see if it is connect. We need to check using the method on connect if it is connected. Okay, and then we will pass the client to this add message action later. Okay, so if it is connected, then we'll define the logic here on connect once it is connected. Okay, so first let's print console.log and have a message like connected to WebSocket, connected to WebSocket. Okay, this is fine, and then we need to subscribe once it is connected. Remember, inside the Spring Tool Suite we have this. Okay, we need to subscribe to these topic messages so that once ever we have a message or error status, we will know immediately. So let's go back. So we use the client again, client dot, and this will be subscribe. Add it here. Okay, and the second one is a function, so we'll have the response and we will manipulate the data that we have in the response. So we will define something like this. So first let's store the response on a variable body equal to response.body, like this. Okay, so we will have a console. Let's have a console.log so that we will know. We'll set that message receive or receive message is receive message is, so that is the body. Let's have json.string file, that is the body. So we will see this flying in the console once it is started and having messages. Okay, so let's close this, and the next thing we use this dispatch that we have here. Okay, and we dispatch this. Remember, we have the add message, so and it have the parameter of the message. So the body is the message here, so we need to add json.pass, then followed by the body. So this is all we need to do here, and it is simple. What we are trying to do here is that first, once it is connected, then we are printing that we connected to the WebSocket and we subscribe to the topic messages. Okay, and we also the response, we will have the response immediately when something happens, when there is a message, it will broadcast. So we store it here, that is the body of the message, and here we are confirming that the message received. Here it will print in the console, and then we have this dispatch, which we use to dispatch the message. Okay, so that we will have it manipulated or altered in the reducer if based on the action. So the next thing we need to define here is the store, that is the main folder or the main file, I would say. So we'll have the store.js here, and let's have store.js. Okay, so the store is simple implementation. First we need to import the configure store, that it will be from the Redux at Redux.js toolkit at Redux.js toolkit. So this provide a set of tools which simplify our work here. So we use the configure store, and we also need to import our root reducer. Import the root reducer from the reducer. Okay, we need it here as well. So we also need to import the initial state. Remember, we defined the initial state of the application. So let's remove this within this bracket. So if not, we will have problem accessing our root reducer. Okay, the last thing is the compose with dev tool. Compose, here we will have compose. So here we'll have const configure store, and let's have a store face here, store equal to the configure store that we have here. Okay, and then the next thing is that first we need to define the reducer. Our reducer here is the root reducer, and we need to have the initial state as well, which is preloaded state. We set it to initial state. We also need to DevTools. Okay, the DevTools, which is compose with DevTool. Compose with DevTools. Okay, and the last thing is middleware. So Redux provided this. We have a function get default middleware. So where, and we set it get default middleware. Okay, get default middleware. So we finish defining the store, and the next thing we will do is to export this. Export default and call it store. So we finish defining all that we need to have in the Redux file, and let's save these changes. So let's save the changes. Now we define the Redux, and the next thing we need to tell our application that we have this Redux so that we can use it from different components. So here we will go to the index.js. Okay, so from the index.js we need to import, that is provider. So not profiler, provider. We have provider from, that is React Redux. React Redux. Okay, and we need to use the provider to provide the store to the application. So we need to wrap the app entirely into the within the provider. So provider, so let's change this to here. That is, the app is within the provider. What is the provider providing? Is the store. Okay, so we will have the store, our store. So you can see we did not import the store, so let's import the store. You can see now we import the store. Now this is all we need to do with the Redux for now. Okay, now let's see and confirm if our application break or not. So let's go to the Chrome. So you see here we have export default import as provider was not found, and the reason is that we need to add this within the bracket, and that is all. So let's save the changes and go back to the Chrome. So it is working now. Okay, now see you in the next section. In this section we will install Bootstrap, which we use in the UI of the application. Okay, you can see the UI here. So let's install the Bootstrap. npm install bootstrap. Okay, so then click on enter. So the Bootstrap is installing. Okay, once the Bootstrap is ready, we'll import it in our index.js file so that it will be available for all the components in the app. Okay, now the installation is finished. Okay, now we are inside the index.js. We need import and call this bootstrap followed by we have dist slash then css slash, and then we have bootstrap again dot main then dot css. Okay, that is all we need to import so that the bootstrap will reflect on all the components that we use the bootstrap class css. Okay, so this is for this section. See you in the next section. In this section we will have a join chat component which we will create. So we need to create a new folder, so and we will name this folder component, and okay, inside this folder we will create a new file and we will call this join chat. That is a component.js. that is a component that we will use to have the logic for the joining chat. So we'll start with course and its name is join chat. So let's have this div and let's give this a bootstrap class name. Remember we added the bootstrap class name container. Okay, and then let's have another div inside this. Okay, and we will give it a class name as well. Need another div which is a cat. Within the cat we will have the cat header and the cat body. Okay, so the class name for this is class name, let's give it cat. So let's first have a cat header. Okay, this is another div which will have a class name cat header. So inside this cat header the things that we will have here is a heading, that is a header of h4, and we'll call this join chat, and later we'll have the form. So let's give this also a class name. We want the text and the center. Okay, we'll set text center. Okay, that is what we have here. So within the card, you can see we have this card header, and the next thing is we'll have the card body, class name card body. So and what we will have here is we need a form. So let's have a form within this tag. Okay, so we need a div, that is where a person will put his username, and we need an input inside this. So we need to call this with a class name input group. So it will style our input, and so we need input this like type, that is the type that we expected. Here is a text, and then we also need a class name which is a form control. So what next is a placeholder. Placeholder is type your username. Will inform the user to type his username. Okay, so type your username. Okay, so and we finish with this, and we need to include a button within the input group within this div. So let's have a button. So this button will call it join. When you click, it will join, and the type of this button is submit. Okay, so let's give it a class. A class name is btn, that is a bootstrap class naming, btn primary. Okay, this is what we have up to now, and let's import this class so that we will display what we have inside the app.js. Okay, so in the app.js here, instead of returning the running React, you can see here. So let's change this. So I'm going to delete this. Okay, what we will return here first, let's import the join chat. Import join chat, here it is. Then we'll have join chat like this. Okay, that is what we will have. Let's save this and see the changes that we have made. It is compiling. Okay, now it is compiled, and let's check. You can see the changes that we have made for the join chat. Now we need to have the logic that manages that when we put the username, it manages the username and send a join signal to our WebSocket. Okay, so let's go to the join chat, and first we need a state that will handle the input that we will add. So we need a state here, call this set state equal to, we need to import the use state. So import use state. Okay, and we will use it here, use state. So and let's have an empty value of name, which it will be changing based on the logic that we will have. So we'll close this, and let's have a method again. We have a method and call this handle name change. Okay, what we will do is that we need a cost value, that is the value that will be added, that is the username. So event dot target dot value, so we store the value here, and we need to update using the set state. We need to update this name that we have here using the set state. It is simple like this. Then we need face a state, come out followed by, so now we will have the value like this. Okay, that is all. So this will handle the input as we add the input. So the next thing we'll do is let's go on to this and link the input to our new method, and we'll call this handle name change to this input. So whatever happens, it will handle it here. So on the next thing we need handle submit as well. Handle submit. First we need to prevent default, that is we don't need an empty input to be submitted. So we need to call this event dot prevent default. Okay, that is it. So what next we need to do after we prevent default? We need to submit this username, and remember here you can see inside this controller we have this action that handle the user that joined status based on offline and offline. When the user join, we have something here, so we need a logger here to confirm because we are building this. So we need a logger. Let's have a private logger. Okay, that is for login, equal to private logger, and let's name this log, equal to logger dot, so get logger, and so we need this logger here so that when we submit we'll see in the console log.info, and let's have a message here, join user, so lost then a message, that is the payload. That is what we will have here, and we save this and go back to this. When we prevent this, remember that we have the use context that we have, and we need to call this use context to publish a message, and let's import it here. So import use message. We have use message context, use, let me have it within this, use message context, and let us confirm this spelling from the stump provider here. On here is it, so we have use message context. We are trying to import this so that we can use the publish message. So let's go back to the join chat and make sure there is no spelling error. We call this from, so let's check the directory. So the directory is outside this component, so let's check it here from prosy, then from storm provider. Okay, when we import this, what we'll do next is let's have a const. What we need is the publish message method. We need to use it. Publish message equal to, then use message context. That is all. Now we have this message, publish message in a storm provider, and we are sharing it across the component that we have here. Okay, so here we need to on submit, we need to submit this. So we need a publish message and we pass values. If you can remember, inside the storm provider here we have destination and message that we want to send. Let's go back the destination. Let's go back to here is send status, and you can see it here. So let's go back to, okay, here we will pass the send status. So we need to add app dot then send status slash send status. So the next thing is the message that we need to send. So first the user is the state dot name. That is the name that we will put inside our input here. Okay, so let's go back to here. Then we need to add the status. Here is join. Okay, that is what we have. And after this we need to set this value to empty.
Okay, on
the form we have on submit, so we need to add the handle submit here. We link it to our form. It is simple as this. Okay, we link the handle submit to the on submit of the form. So now we will try to see, after going to the app.js, we will import the storm provider, and we need to wrap this within the storm provider. So, and we copy this join chart, it will be inside the storm provider. Okay, so the next thing is that we will try to submit and see if it works as expected. So let's go to the Chrome and have a name like Aliyu, and then click on join. So after clicking on join, let's check here. So here you can see we have this join user, and the object is not clearly, does not clearly explain who is the user here, and it's supposed to show the object of the that is containing the user. That is, we are having this because we doesn't define the toString method inside this class, and we need to have it. So let's generate a toString method, and we will do that by going to the source here and generate toString method. So here it is, generate, click on generate, then save these changes. Now let's try to go back to the browser and try to add this user again, but we need to refresh this, so let's refresh this and try to add a name like Aliyu. So click on join. Once we click on join, you can see it comes here. You see Aliyu, content null, time null, status join. Okay, that is what we are expecting, and it works perfectly. Let us fix another issue here. When we click on submit, it is not making this empty, and it is not disappearing. The name is not disappearing, and we set this logic and it's supposed to disappear. So let's go back to the join chart we are having this issue because we added this. It does not okay here in the, because we added this, it does not supposed to have it. Change this to go back to the top, so that when we before we clear it, we need to print something before we clear this. Okay, once we print it, then we clear this. And we also need to go to the input and set the value to the state dot name. It will be giving us the current value of the name inside our input field. So let's save these changes and then go back to the Chrome. So whenever we added a name and then click on join, it will disappear. And there is something I wanted to show. When let's go to the inspect here, console. So you can see here, once we have when the component is mounted, you can see the connection will happen immediately. And here is what we print, this object, and you can see it here clearly. That is not what we print. We print it here. You can see the name Aliyu and join chat. Okay, that is what we have. And the next thing, we're going to work on the React router. Okay guys, we need to install the React router. So let's create a new terminal here, and once it created, we will go to the directory of this chat app. So we need a cd chat app, so npm install React router. So React router done. Okay, that is what we are installing, React router done, and we will use it to route our component through the path, so that as we navigate, we provide different component. So the React router is installing. Okay, the installation of the React router is complete. Now let's go to the app.js and import what we will use. So inside the app.js, now let's import. So out of what we will use, let's see, browser router as, then followed by face router. We need a route that define many routes, and we need also a route that define a single route. Okay, and so from React router down, here it is. It's simple, and what we will do is we need to have this chat component wrap around the React router DOM. As when we click this join, we need to navigate to other component, that is the chat console. So let's provide this router like this, and inside this router we need to define many route here. So we will use the one with the that describe many route. So here we define a single route using the route that you can see without s, and here let's give a path to. Okay, let's give it this path. And to show you an example, let me say that we have a path like join chat. So, and we try to access this. First, let's copy this. We don't need this closing tag. We close it like this. So, on the element, that is, we will get a join, the component that we will get here. Okay, so let's paste this here. when we go to the directory join chat, we will get this. When we go to this part, we will get this element display, that is there is join chat component. So let's try this and see if it works. So you can see it disappeared from this localhost 300, and let's try to access. Okay, you can see we get it here. So that is just to show you an example, and then what we'll do is go back to here and let me give it just a normal path as this, because it is the first thing we will get when we open our app. So we will not longer get it here. That is the beauty of React Router. Okay, so and the next thing when we click, we need to navigate to the next component, and we will also provide route for the next component. Let's say it is chat console. Let's name this chat console. And when we go to this chat console, let's create another component, chat console. So we need a new file and call this chat console.js. Okay, so inside this chat console.js, let's have chat console. Let's return something simple as this, just a div. Okay, and inside this div, let's have a h1, and let's call this chat console. So, and we will use this chat console inside the app.js. We need to import first the chat console. Like import chat console, and when we import it here, we need to throw it here. Let me remove this chat console. Very simple. Okay, so and we will add the logic that will navigate to this chat console part inside our join chat. So let's go to the join chat. Here it is. So we need to import use navigate, because that is what we use to navigate. Import use navigate from the React Router DOM, and let's use it here, cons, and call this navigate equal to use navigate. And that is simple. And then the next thing, we call this navigate here. So navigate, then we provide it with the path that we wanted it to navigate to. Okay, we want to navigate to chat console. Okay, so let's leave this like this, and let's go to the browser. So here it is. Make sure you save, and when we added this name and click on join, you can see we navigate to chat console. Okay, so the next thing we're going to work on is user component. That is the users component. Okay guys, in this section we need to work on the users which display the users component, which display the users that are offline and online, which you can see here in this image. You can see a user Adam joined, and when he left, we will know that he left. Okay, so that is the component that we will work on. And remember that we have a Redux. So you can see we have defined this Redux but did not link it to the DOM provider. Inside this Redux action, remember we have this add message action. So we need to provide the client to this so that the messages will go directly to our Redux store and we will display these messages and the users just send them. Okay, how we will do that is as simple as this. Let's go to the storm provider. We need to link it. So what we will import is the add messages, add message action, and you can see it here. We have imported it, and we also need to import the use dispatch, which we will use to dispatch the messages to the add message action to the store. So let's use dispatch from the React Redux, as simple as this. And the next thing here, let's have a const dispatch equal to use dispatch here it is. Okay, what we will try to dispatch here, we will try to dispatch the add message action and provide the storm client to it. Okay, so here we will have the dispatch, and within this we will have the add message action, and inside this we'll pass the client. It's as simple as this. Then let's close this. This is inside the use effect. Okay, and you can remember inside the store, let's go back to the top. You can see we have df tool, which represent it show how our Redux state work in a life. So we need a Redux extension says that we provide this. How we will do that is let's go to the browser and click, let's say Redux DevTool for Chrome, and a simple click here, and you can see add to Chrome. Okay, add extension. Once it's added, we will try to see. Okay, so it added, and let's go back to the home where we have the join chart, inspect. Let's remove these. Before inspect, you can see we have Redux DevTools open in a window. Okay, here it is. You can see it here. And now let me try to send to submit something here. Click on join. You can see it takes me to chat console. When I come here, you can see we have user aliu content null. It provides the state, and here is the URL or the path for the state that represents different action. Okay, that is a type which we define. You can see it here. So now we link the Redux and our storm provider, and it's working. And what we will do next is let's start having the implementation of the user component. Okay, create a new file and call this file users.js. Okay, and you can see we will have const users return. Okay, so we provide a div here with a bootstrap class. Let's call this a class name of call for, and then followed with a cut. Okay, so we will have a break here on before we start having the message. Now we will need to use the users that we have in our Redux store. Now you can see we have only this user. So to select those users and display them, we need to import the use selector. Import use selector from the React Redux, and let's store the messages here. Messages equal to, we'll have use selector state equal to state.messages. Okay, and it will store all the what we have inside this. Okay, so within this we need to, when we rewrite a code within this div, we need to provide it inside the inside this curly bracket. Okay, so let's filter the message for the offline and the online. We'll have a messages dot map message. Let's have message here. So for each message we will check some using some condition. Okay, and we'll have if statement. If the first thing we're going to check is message dot status, that is status if it is online, that is if it is joined. So equal to join, and then and as well we will have message dot content, because all the join status, the join message that we have, it doesn't have content. So if it equal to null, if the content is equal to null, because it is not a text message. So within here we will have the logic. So the next thing is we will return. So inside this, let's have a div. Okay, inside this, first let's give a class name for this, which is d flex, and then followed by align items that. Okay, so and then we will also have another div here for this avatar. So for this avatar we will have, okay, so and it will also have a class name, and we will set that is avatar. So we'll define this class in CSS for the application, that is the application CSS, and let's define the avatar because it is not defined. So inside the app.css below we shall have the avatar. So we'll have avatar, start with dot. First we will define the width and the height. So the width is 30 pixel and the height as well is 30 pixel. Height is 30 pixel. It is round, so the border radius is, let's give it 50 because it is around 50%. And the next thing is the background color is white, because you can see the letters that we have here inside this, the letter A is white. So let's give it the background color is hash FFF, and then we will also have to justify content and align it to center as well. So we'll have justify content center, as well align items to center. Okay, we will also have since we are justifying this, we need to have the display to flex, and so it is uppercase, and we need to have a text transform to uppercase. So and the last thing is the font size and the font family. Okay, the font size is, that is, give it to 20 pixel, and the font family is, let's say, the sans serif. Okay, and that is all for the avatar. Okay, so let's save this and go back to the users component. Here it's the avatar. So the content that we will have here is bracket message dot user, then we will use the char at 0, that is the first letter we are using the first letter here. And the next thing is, let also display, we will need another div here. So let's check what we have in the picture. You can see we have this join and left. Okay, we will have to provide this layout as well. So we'll have div, and let's give a class name, but let's provide a closing tag for the div. So the class name for this is flex grow. That is the bootstrap class name, flex grow 1 and ml3. Okay, that's it. And the next thing we will do is, let's start writing. Inside this we need a user, that is the name of the user. So let's have it inside message.user, and then we will also have this layout that I said, which will be inside another div. So let's give it a class name. So the class name here is small, and inside this we need to provide the badge div. So, and we'll also give this a class name as well. So that is the badge bg success, that is the color will be green, bg success, and let's have float to right. Okay, so right, and we will provide the status inside this. So this will be message.status. Okay, so here it is what we have so far, and you can see we have an if statement, and we will also need else, that is the else will start here if. So we'll have the content here, but before then we need to provide the backend implementation, that is the backend implementation for the offline when the user exit. So we'll have the, let's have the message.status equal to left. Okay, so let's save these changes before having this implementation. We will make sure we provide this implementation, the backend implementation. Okay, so let's create this class. It is a WebSocket event listener. So let's provide this here, and we call it WebSocket event listener. Okay, that is all, and click on finish. So we will annotate this with @sl4j for the login. So we need to provide this in the pom.xml. So let's just add it manually, so it is not allowed. So let's copy this and duplicate so that we will change the content. So the artifact is just Lombok, and we will change this as well. So this will be org.project Lombok. That is all, and this is not a scope, it's optional. So, and this optional will set to true. So let's set this to true. Okay, let's save the changes and go on this class. It is building. Okay, that's all. Inside the WebSocket event listener, we will annotate this with SL F4J. You can see we have it from the Lombok that we just added, and we need to annotate this as well with component. the first thing that we will have here is we need a private for. Let's start with the logger because we'll use logger to log. So logger equal to, we will also have another field private which we will use to send the message for the exit. Private final simp message sending operation. Here it is. So let's provide the constructor. So let's have generate a constructor here in the source. Generate constructor using field, and that is the, we don't need the logger. So let's have, we finish with this. And the next thing is that we will create our method that handle disconnect, and we will annotate it with at event listener. So public void handle, let's say it handle disconnect event. Handle disconnect event. I would say it handle disconnect listener, whatever. So we will have a session disconnect here by step. So we will use the stomp header accessor to access our header. If you can remember, inside the chat controller here you can see we added the user inside. Okay, inside the session we put the user and with the username. So let's go. When the user exit, we will know using the WebSocket event listener. Okay, so we will use the stomp header accessor, stomp header accessor dot wrap. Okay, we'll wrap the message, and that is the disconnect event. Disconnect, or let's say session disconnect event dot get message. Okay, so whatever happened we will able to know, and we will know which user disconnect from the event. Okay, so and let's store the user string user, so equal to stomp header accessor. We will use the stomp header accessor dot get session attribute. Get session attribute, here it is, dot get user. So the attribute, that is the key, is user. And to confirm, here is the inside the chat controller, here is the key, so we'll get it by the user. So let's go back to the WebSocket event listener. So that is all we need here. Let's close this. So it is a string, so we need to cast this to string. It's simple as this, and what we will do next is we will check if this user is inside the session, that is the session for the disconnect. Okay, then if user is not equal to null. Okay, so here we will have the logic. So let's use the logger to print logger.info. So we'll have user disconnected, and then we'll have to print the user. So that is what we have. And then the next thing is that we will set this to left. So let's create, so it is not using var, let's use message from the model class, message equal to new message. So in this case we need to provide the constructor that we will pass only the user and the status inside the message. So let's provide this constructor here. So generate constructor using field. We don't need the content and the time here. We only need the user and the status. And let's provide the constructor that contains all of them as well. Generate a constructor using field, that is all these field, user, content, time. But for now we will be using this user and the status. So let's go back to the WebSocket events listener. What we will pass is the user and the status. The status here is left status dot left. Okay, it did not provide the status that we have here. Status from the, we have many the status from the model. So dot left. So that's all, and let's save the changes. Here having this error because we need to change the type from the string to status. Let's go to the message. Here we need to use status instead, status from the model. So still here status. As for the getters and setters, let's change this, regenerate it again. So let's change this, and first we need a constructor. Generate constructor from the source. Generate constructor using all these field face, and then the next thing you will do is to generate the getters and setters for all the field. So we need source generate getters and setters, select all, generate and save these changes. And once we save these changes, the error will disappear. Okay, so we need to send this message, we need to broadcast. So we have the sync message sending operation. We can use the convert and send. So we need to provide the destination and the payload. Also the destination will be, we will broadcast to the topic messages. If you forget, here inside the controller, here is this where we will broadcast. So let's go to the WebSocket again, make sure we paste this, and then followed by the message, okay, that the user is disconnected. So let's save these changes that we have. And so if we run, let me run the program. So once it runs without error, then we will go to the front end and have the implementation of the front end for the left. Okay, so here it is. And let's go to the users. So here inside the users, you can see we have this left implementation, and we will have the layout, how it will look. So it is simple, we just need to copy this and then paste it here and have a little changes. the changes is the background for the left is supposed to be red, that is danger. If you can see in this picture, it is red. Okay, that is all we need to do here. Let's go to the app.js. We need to import, let's import these users. Okay, so use the users here instead of the chat console. Okay, let's save the changes and we will access the local host here in the browser. So localhost 300, here it is. Okay, it accessing our React app. Let me refresh this. Okay, here it is. So now let's add a user and see we have Aliyu and add it. As you can see here, it works unless for the avatar. So let's go and check the CSS for the avatar. Inside here you can see we set the background color to white, that is supposed to be text white, and we provide the background color. Okay, so let's have a background color. So the background color here is started with hash, it is blue hash, then 0747A1. Okay, let's save the changes and try. You can see here in the browser the changes take effect as expected. On let's add another user to see, like, okay, here is 8080, supposed to be 300 localhost. So let's add another user, like to say Musa. So you see here it added Musa also join, it's telling the one that using this tab from here. So now when we click here, we will see that the Musa who joined here is left. So let's click here. You see it shows immediately that Musa left. That shows that our implementation is working as expected. So the next thing we will work is the two component of the front end for the messages and the profile, and that is all. Okay guys, in this section we will create a component profile that display the profile of the user. So let's create a new component here inside. We'll have new file and call this file profile.js, and we'll have cost profile. Okay, so let's export this, export default profile, that is all. And inside this we need to return, so we need a div, so div, and we'll provide the bootstrap class name for this. So that is what we'll have here, but inside this we need a div, and we will provide a class name for this, which is the class name is position relative. So that is all we have for this position relative, and we will provide the user here. So class name first, we need the avatar, our avatar that we are using. So how this profile get access to the username. So this component will get to access to the username using the param, that is the use param. Okay, so here let's go to we navigate. We will provide the user in the path, in this path, so that the profile will able to access it. So we need to change this entirely. So we'll use the backtick operator. So backtick operator, here we'll have the chat console followed by, and we'll provide that is the $sign here. So followed by the state of this, then we access the name. So using this, we will provide this when we navigate to the chat console, and the profile will be in the part of the chat console. The only changes we need to do, we need to go to the app. Let's go to the app.js. Here it is, and in front of this we will provide the username, that is the name that will be here is the username. Okay, and that is all. And let's go to the profile. So we will import the use param so that we can access what we have in the path. So use param from the React Rotterdam and use it here. Let's have a cost username equal to use param. That is all, and let's have username here, but we need to add this inside the bracket username. That here we also need just a first letter dot char at 0, that is the first letter. So we finish with this and we go to the next div where we provide the username itself. So div, this also have a class name. Here we need to provide another strong. Inside this strong we provide the username. So that what make it look like this. So let's continue. Username, and below we have a profile. So as well we're going to provide div class name text mutate small, and then we provide a profile, but the profile will be between a tag called im. So let's have profile. So that is all we have for the implementation of the profile. That is this implementation. We provide the user which lie vertically like this. We provide this horizontal for the profile. The next thing is that we will work on the chat console here, and we will name this component chat console, the one that consists by sent and all this. So let's do this together, guys. In this section we are going to work on the chat console, that is this component. We work on this vertical user component, and then we work on this profile. So the next thing is this component. Let's go to, we already have a chat console. We need to change the implementation. What we will do is we will start with this form. So before, remember that we have this profile, so let's import it and call it import profile. So we need to provide it inside this profile. Okay, and we need to provide a class name for this, which is called add cut. That's all, and then we need to have a form. So we will provide the form within this, that is the input within this. So this we will have a class. This will provide it, it will align it on the layout well. So we need to have flex grow 0, then we will have py -3 and then followed by border top. So inside this we will have our form group, which is a div and with a class name input group. So inside this we will have the input so let me remove this. So let's provide it with the type. The type is text, and then we'll have a class name is form control, and then we will also have a placeholder, that is for the message. Type your message. Okay, so that is what we will have here, and we will also provide the button. So the button here is of type submit. So let's have a send here, and we will provide type submit. That's all. And then so we finish with the form, and then the next thing we will do, we will handle how the form will be dispatched or will be handled using the method. Okay, so we will provide the handle content. So let's have a cons of content, that is the text that will be sent. Set content, and then this will be equal to, we'll have use state. So we need to import the use state. Import use state. Okay, so when we import this use state, we will use it here. Okay, so let's provide the handle content and handle submit as well. So we'll have a, let's provide the semicolon. For the handle content is cost handle content cost. Let's store the value here, event.target dot value. So, and we will update our content, set content to value. That's all we need to do here. And also for this, we need to also have a handle submit, which is as simple as let's have cost handle submit default prevent default. So that's it. And then the next thing is let's have a message. Our message here consists of a content equal to, let's provide a user is the username. So we need to import the use param as well, use params. So for the use param, we will have const username, which will access the user directly from the path that we provide earlier. So username equal to use param. So that is it, and we need to, the user here is the username that we have, comma, and then content is the content that we set, the message that we are trying to send. The next is time. Let's have this, it will be set automatically inside our chat controller. You can see we are setting the time at the backend when we send the payload. Okay, we doesn't have problem with this. So we need to import from the storm provider we have our publish method. So let's import the use message context, use message context, and we have const, we have publish message, so equal to use message context. That is all. We are sharing our publish message to our component, we share it to users, and here is down, we are sharing it here. We share it to join chat, so we shall use it here to send a message. We have publish message. In this case we provide the path. In this case it's app.send messages, not send status, because this is a message, and here is the endpoint for the send message, and here is for the send status. So then followed by the message that we want to send, and that's also, we need to clear the set content to empty like this after finishing. So that is all we need to do here, and let's provide this to our form. What is it is, let's provide this to the form. Here we will provide on submit. So on submit we only need to provide the handle submit. For the handle content we need to provide this here on change, then handle content. Remember we have value as well, so for the value is the content, so that when we immediately submit it will disappear, it will show the empty string, so that we shall know that it's submitted is the content. So now we finish with the form, and what next is, let's check here, we finish with this form. The next thing is this layout for the message, this avatar, the time. Okay, so let's do this next, and for this we need to, inside our Redux we need to fetch data. So we shall use the use selector. Let's have const messages, call this messages equal to use selector. So let me import the use selector, import use selector, okay, from React Redux. Then here where we'll use the use selector and access our all the messages. Okay, state equal to state.messages. So arrow function, not equal to. So that is what we will do. We need to map over these messages and filter. So we need to go down below the form, and below this form we need to provide a code block. So let's have a messages that we shall map over. For each message we will check if the content is null. If the content is null, that means is for the send status, it doesn't contain a message. So we'll have message. Remember we are we map over messages, and this will not be messages, as it will be message. If you add s, you are missing it. So we will have the if statement. We start to filter if message dot content equal to null, then return nothing, that is return null. So that's all. So if not, then let's provide a div that we will work on. So div we'll give this a class, and the class name for this is pb-2. So we provide also a div, another div. Okay, so inside this div we will provide the avatar. So let's check this avatar in this case. So let's have a div again. Let's give it a class name. The class name is avatar, and we will use this the message dot user dot char at 0. That is the first letter. We are looking for the first letter, and that is all. That is what we are expected here. So, and below we need a time for the message. If you can see in this picture, we have this time. So let's have div and let's provide the class name. The class name is text muted, the bootstrap class, small, and then followed by empty -2. So let's have the message dot time, and so we finish with this. So the next thing is we provide this time, and we also need another div below. You can see we will provide this text and the layout for where the message will be. So that is what we will work on. Div in it, provide a class name. Oh, so the class name for this is a little longer, flex shrink followed by 1, and then bg background info, the color for it, and it is rounded, then py-2, then px-3. okay, x and y, and so let's see what we will have inside this. We'll have a div let's provide a class name for this. A class name for this, the class name will be fw-bolt. so that is the username that is written here. I'll use Adam, and we'll provide a message.user. So, and below we'll have a message.content without any div. That is the content, message.content. So that is all we have here, and we need to gather all these inside. Let's save it and go back to the app.js. Inside the app.js, you can see we have this chat console. So let's make this block a little bigger so that we can add all that we need. So inside this we will have div with a class name row. So inside this row we'll have to provide users and the chat console. Users and the chat console, both of these, we inside the chat console we have a use param that will use our username here and as well the profile that is inside it. So console, that's all we need to do here. So let's save the changes and check out. So after we click on Aliyu and click on join, so it does not provide this because there are things that we need to do. One of it is that we need to provide this inside a container. Let's provide the container div class name container empty4, and as well let's first copy the entire code will be inside this, and we need to have a h4 as well, h4, and this h4 have a class name of text center. So we'll say that we have a chat console here, chat console. So let's save this and go back to the browser and try again. So we have localhost 300 and let's try Aliyu. Okay, you can see it provided what we expected. Here is the send button, and let me have a message like to say hi. To see we are having you can see we are having the publish message is not a function. So let's see that how we did not spell it well. So let's go back to the chat console. It happens because of the spelling. You can see we did not provide the hash. So let's set this up, and inside here we need to change it again. Okay, so after changing this, let's go back and try. Let's start from the beginning, localhost 300, and we try the name Aliyu. We need to have a message like hello. Click on send. So we sent this message. Let's add another message. Okay, the message is not displaying. Let's check here. So in the console, so here you can see our message and the content that we sent from the action.js. That means we have sent this message is received, but the problem we are getting is that it is not displaying. So let's go and check inside the chat console. And check inside the chat console. Here inside the chat console, you can see our implementation here. This part that here we return null. So we need to place this inside a return. So that is why it is not working. It is not returning anything. So we need to provide it within a return. So let's have a return like this. So we change this, let's paste this. So that is the only problem, and let's go back to this. You can see it immediately provide what we need. Okay, So that is nice. And you can we have problem with this button. It does not look like this, so we did not provide the bootstrap class. It is btn primary. Let's go and do this. So here let's provide a class name for this, and btn primary. So and that is all. Let's see, and you can see here is the implementation. Aliyu sent a message hello and hi as well. Let me have a local host again, and another user will join. So let's say this user is Lukman. So Lukman say hi Aliyu. So let's have another user. We will have so many users join. Let's set Musa and say hi Lukman. So Lukman, and you can see Lukman will see that Musa sent hi Lukman, and here you can see all the chat. Aliyu sent hello, and when Aliyu decide to send them back like how was school, and click on this, you can see he sent how was school, and it sent how was school. So when this user left, it notify here, and as well it notify here. And this is the end of this tutorial. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe and share. Thank you for watching.